Raw, and Raws is the kings and queens of the earth. You the kingly man or the priestly man. We got it all. The nigga in damn Alabama on the tractor is the royal blood. Some old burly head, peasy head nigga eating some watermelon on the porch with some pork chops and some damn butter beans is royal. That's a hell of a statement now, ain't it? We the shit. Out of all the stuff, we the people. We are the people.
Philosopher. So you're a philosopher. So you're a philosopher. So you're a philosopher. So you're a philosopher. Yes. Yes. So you're a philosopher. Yes. 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 You're a philosopher. Yes. Yes. So you're a philosopher. Yes. 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 You're a philosopher. Yes. Yes.
Hey, what's going on? Peace, peace, peace. Welcome. We're back. Once again, Black Thought Radio. Black Thought Radio, that's right. I'm DJ Wild Body, and we're here with Brother Ani. Once again, second installment. The first one we did a few weeks back. Got a lot of good feedback, so we're back once again. All right, today's topic, like I said, before I talk to Brother Ani, man, I was going to let everyone know what we're going to be talking about tonight. It's going to be the unspoken relationship between blacks and the spiritual world, which is it's kind of taboo in some realm, in some circles, if you will. So, Brother Ani, what's going on, man? What's happening, man?
What's up? What's up?
See you
Peace,
again.
family.
Back at it, brother. Got some good feedback last time, man. So, you know, I definitely got some on my end. I know you got some on yours. So, you know, we're back again, man. We're going second installment, second chapter, if you will. And let's have at it, man. Let's go.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Here's a good one, man. And I've always had, I always wanted to know this. Definitely had questions about this. And how do we connect back with our spiritual family, man? How do we do that?
It's an excellent question. How do we connect back with our spiritual family? I think the first thing we need to acknowledge is the fact that there is a disconnect, and we've been doing this traditional thing in the perspective of Christianity and Islam and other monotheistic religions or whatever. We've been kind of taken away from what we traditionally had going before we had these ideologies either forced upon us or introduced to us, or just raised in a particular tradition and not knowing anything else. And we got better results, just our everyday interaction with life, when we had that relationship with the spirit realm and our family that had crossed over. So it's just really good right now, being that we're in this new phase of our evolution in the age of Aquarius, that we venture back into, you know, what gave us the optimal benefit of our spirituality and how we move through this realm in this day and time. So I think it's very important that we discuss it and come up with some practical solutions on how we reestablish that connection.
Gotcha. So it's gonna give us like a blueprint, if you will, real short, if you don't mind. Say somebody like somebody that's not really that spiritual, or you know what I'm saying, everyday Joe,
how they actually reconnect back.
Yeah.
One thing we got to realize, that our spiritual family is they're always present. You know, people don't really take the time to have a formal understanding of our family who is on the other side. And one thing about, you know, family in the living, you know, when everybody's here in the physical world, we have our relationship, whether good or bad. But when people transition out of this density and out of these bodies, you know, we tend to not understand the fact that they're still family, and they just transition from a physical perspective into a more, not to get too deep, but energized perspective of their. And with that being said, they're still around, And one thing about family, you know, when you're not attuned to being sensitive to sensitivity, we have a tendency of being scared. Especially we have gotten in eyes of the European based on how we should relate to the real world, with all the horror movies and religion and stuff that keeps us frightened and scared. So the one thing your family don't want to do is when they're on is to frighten you, trying to establish a line of communications.
All right, cool. I bet. All right, man. So I watch a lot of I'm on YouTube a lot. I seen the guy that played on Wire, Avon, the guy that played Avon. Don't know, his name escapes me, but he was saying how the guy that played Stringer, Ebris Ida or something. He's from grew up in Britain and stuff, and it was just saying how when they went to school, like history class was a lot of like African studies and shit like that, and we didn't have that, so their level of the it's kind of like taught to them in school. It's like they don't have to go straight away from school to know about ancient Africa and stuff. A lot of that that region and in Europe as well. And we're in class and we don't get taught none of that. Not even the not even Black History Month where we get in depth with African history and shit like that. So what are some of the reasons you think our oppressors they outlaw our continuation of traditional spirituality of African spirituality?
One of the main reasons is power. When I say power, I'm not speaking in the sense of control, but more or less. Here's the thing. When you have a people who are practicing their traditional way of how they interface with God or the universe or the divine, whatever you want to call it, they are tapped into Source. Source empowers those individuals who are tapped in or plugged in. So when we went through this I'm gonna say captivity, not all of us, but a portion of us, we brought with us still the way we interface with God, and with that connection, it allowed us to draw on a certain level of power, and this terrified our captors. So they had to say, hey, we got to stop these Negroes from playing these drums, dancing and singing in the middle of the night, doing what they do, because we were invoking family that was on the other side for assistance. So they had to cut the lines of that because shit was happening to them, to the oppressor, that they couldn't quite explain. And they were spooked out at the fact that we were plugged in to our source. So they had to cut the source and replace it with something else. And here's where Christianity came in its current form today. The way we practice it today. So they had to replace what we were doing with something else and give us, white Jesus and say, hey, this is your God, and cut the power source. And they've implanted so much garbage in our subconscious mind through white supremacy over hundreds of years that anything spiritual that occurs in our life, we automatically attribute it to either good or bad, or God or the devil. Nothing else.
Right.
So we've completely spiritually cut our family off due to programming, and we're still doing that to this very day.
Right. Just want to add on to that. The Willie Lynch letter. Is there any truth to that? I've always heard it wasn't. I've heard it was. As far as getting our people basically a tool used to, or an idea used to turn us against each other. And to me, I haven't really read into it or tried to research it, but it seems like I'm sorry to say, it seems like that's how I feel community is. Some communities where we're always tearing at each other and holding each other down, and you know what I'm saying, infighting and shit like that. I kind of feel like there's some truth to that. You know what I'm saying?
As far as the letter itself, there is no historical validity to it. But the science in itself does work, and it has been working. But at the same time, the fact that we still entertain the Willie Lynch letter is in itself is a distraction at this stage. Let's reference the Kanye West thing, right? Everybody was up and on about Kanye West saying, you know, slavery was a choice. Now, depending on your level of understanding and knowledge of yourself, when you go back and you look at the fact that, because what they did was they actually cut some of his interview. They didn't give us everything that was said. They just gave us a little snippet of what was said, and it came off like this Negro was saying, you know, slavery sounds like it was a choice, and that's not what Kanye was saying. To be frank and honest,
break that down. Please break that down. So
I listened to the entire interview in itself, and it's funny how the media gets down. And the bottom line is, Kanye was basically saying, for those who did not go through the entire interview, what he was basically saying was, at this stage in the game now, in 2018, in the age of Aquarius, slavery sounds like a choice. And he's simply saying, at this stage of our evolution, you can either choose to stay with this mentality of, you know, I don't want this, I don't want that, and, you know, just be an underachiever, and we have access to everything now that we want. So really, he was saying, it's up to you to make a choice to be great or stay at the bottom. And that's pretty much what he was saying. And to add on what the statement, he was basically also saying, we need to make a better choice to be great, because everybody's still throwing around this slavery thing and, you know, the oppressed thing and all that jazz. Not to negate that there's no system in place that's kind of keeping us, you know, applying a level of pressure to kind of, you know, keep the fight going. But as a divine entity, you know, we got this. It's just a matter of realizing your divinity in flesh. You know what I'm saying? So I understood what the brother was saying. It's just that you got blacks who are going back to your statement of tearing each other down and bickering and not being able to get along and this, that, and the third. Like I tell people all the time, I don't really entertain conversations where, you know, people are talking about how we rob, kill, steal, and do all this negative stuff, because nobody wants to talk about all the elements that went into creating that particular mindset. Nobody wants to talk about that. We're just talking about the end result of something that's happening, but we don't want to talk about how we actually got to that stage. And for those people who always want to talk about the fact that we are, you know, dysfunctional, that's not a good view, and that's a partial view of yourself as a divine being. So I don't even entertain them types of conversations. But, you know, the whole Willie Lynch thing, it is what it is. But it, like I said, in this stage in the game, you know, we moving past that. You know, like I said, we talked about the new black in the last episode. And we're just taking this consciousness thing to another level. You know, the universe is mental. For those who don't understand that, everything you see through those two eyes is a personal, relative perspective of your own personal mind.
Well said, man.
So being that the universe is mental, everything that you are experiencing is based on your own perspective. That's not negate the fact that certain things occur in your life that may not be so pleasant. But what I'm saying is, you still have the ability to mentally transmute that situation and find the level ground where you're still in control, even in the worst situation. And that takes practice. That may take a lifetime for some, but this is the individual being able to take back their God mind and utilizing it in any situation. Because the only thing that's constant in your life is you.
And I'll add on to that. And you said about I don't believe that you're dysfunctional. I don't believe that we are dysfunctional, but I have to say that there's few of us, not us, but there's a few out there that they're surrounded by this invisible gate. And 2018, there's a lot of resources and tools that are available for anyone to use. It's not like pre-civil rights, where you couldn't even go to certain restaurants and stuff. Like we have a phone. These phones are have everything you need to you can buy stuff on here and buy stock and whatever. You can even buy a car off the internet on your phone. I'm just saying that a lot of us are surrounded by invisible gates, and they use previous oppression as a crutch, but it's kind of like an anchor. It's kind of holds people down as well. So I don't understand the logic in that. If you're always saying, hey, this one is not giving me any opportunity, but yet still, what are you using that for? If you're just going to use it to not to achieve it, just to fail, you know what I'm saying?
Let's try to better understand the plight of the original man and the original woman. With that being said, that going back to the Kanye thing, yes, we have choices now. Just to kind of go into what you just said. In this day and age, we have choices. And I'm not saying we chose to be in bondage and go through all the bullshit that a portion of us went through. What I'm saying is the fact that we have choices now, we can utilize the ability to make those choices. But at the same time, you got some brothers and sisters who are still in this mental state of trying to recover from the damage that has been done, and we can't look down on them. What we have to do is understand their position and their struggle, and put it in this proper perspective and not throw them away with the rest of the BS that's out here.
True.
Because they have the opportunity also to refine themselves and get back to their divine state. They may do that in this lifetime, they may do it in the next lifetime. We didn't come here to speed up anybody's evolution. The only thing that you were responsible for is your own evolution in this incarnation. That's your job. You didn't come here to save the world. Technically, the world is perfect in its design. You just have a poor relationship with what's going on, that's all.
Man.
But when you become spiritually aware and spiritually enlightened, then you have a better relationship with this dimension. Things become a little bit more smoother to you because you have a better understanding of why. When people can't answer the whys, that's where all the confusion and the chaos comes in. But when you understand the whys from a spiritual lens, you tend to have less stress in this life, and things run a little bit more smoother for you because you understand the mechanics. It's going back to quantum physics. You understand the mechanics of how shit goes down here. So you become an asset to this dimension versus just a person who's here eating, sleeping, shitting, procreating, your basic human shit. You now become an assistance to the process of helping people wake up, but never wake up anybody before their time. Only those who are seeking light in the dark, those are the ones you be a beacon for them. And they'll come to you because your vibration is high. They'll come to you. The universe will rearrange things for these people to find you. And once they find you, then you can go ahead and give them what you need to give them, and then they'll move on because that's a part of their journey.
Well said. I remember you saying that last time. When people are ready, they'll come to you, like you said, because you're a beacon. I got one for you. And I always wanted to know this. Maybe you can answer this for me. What does it mean when old folks say don't cross the water? Don't cross water.
Don't cross water. Yeah, that's an old Southern phrase. I've heard it from some of my elders, and basically what they were explaining was, in their own way, you have the physical world and you have the spiritual world, and that line, which they refer to as the veil. It is very thin and fluid, like water. So the physical world and the spiritual world, they intertwine. So the old folks used to say, don't cross water, meaning don't play around or tinker around in the spirit realm or with things you don't understand spiritually. Don't cross the waters. Because to them, with that limited understanding of how to function with that interface, you know, they were scared of a lot of things. They were very superstitious.
Yeah.
You know, so you would hear things like that, don't cross the water.
My grandmother, the brooms, when you ever move to another house, don't take the broom with you. Leave it there. Don't use anyone else's broom from someone else's house, which I don't know why you would do that. Crossing poles, black cats. I mean, it was, man, I had to walk on my hands. But yeah, my grandma was one of them. God rest her soul.
And all of those things are based on energy. It's just that we didn't have a good, you know, during that time frame, a good way of explaining, you know, our interaction with things that we consider supernatural. But it's all energy transference. All of it's energy. And it's all based on your relationship with it.
Right.
You know, just getting into, you know, just good and evil. You know, those are perspectives of energy that man attaches to it.
Right.
Good and evil is a perspective based on how man perceives it. The universe is mental. Because what's evil to you may not be evil to what's evil to you may not be evil to me.
Sure.
And vice versa.
Right.
So it can't be a universally law that's accepted by all that can't be broken. So it's a relative thing. It's all based on who's perceiving it, who's experiencing it.
I'm gonna throw you a slider, a Sandy Koufax slider. Where my mom lives, where my mother lives, she lives in Louisiana now, and I went to go visit about a year ago, and there was this old store there. I lived there. My dad was in the service, so I moved pretty much. I stayed down there for about a year. One time, my dad was still in the military, but we ended up staying down there, and you know, I went back and remember the store I used to go to, and you know, it had the pickles and the moon cookies, hog head cheese, all that crap that I wouldn't dare ingest now in my body. But that store, I remember going back and I'm looking for that store, and I'm like, man, when you want to check out the old store, you relive some of my youth. So I go, and it's a church now, and on that corner is a church, and about 3 houses down is another shack, which is a church, and down on the other side is a church. There's about 3 or 4 churches in a 2-block radius, and the neighborhood is trash. It's unkept. So my question is, you know, I'm gonna ask you something. You know, I'm gonna add on to that. Well, my question is, you know, all these churches, you know, why is the community so unkept and crime? And I would have thought that, you know what I'm saying? Let me get to my point. This church thing has turned into another hustle for a lot of people that, you know, the tax-free stuff, and a lot of people come in and pay their tithes and all the tithes and offerings and stuff. So I don't think, you got to be careful out there, and it's a shame that these churches aren't really for what we need them for. Well, these people, they need them for as far as having some kind of foundation in their lives and stuff. And man, I just made that observation. I also wanted to ask that question. Wouldn't you think the neighborhood would have been all right, knowing that 4 churches were in a 2-block radius in that neighborhood?
That's a common theme in a lot of urban neighborhoods. You can go down a street and they got like 4 churches on one street. And you know, I did the knowledge to that a couple years back. And one of the things you gotta understand is, you know, the original people of Earth are the most spiritual people of Earth. And our oppressor understands that. So they give us things like religion and Christianity, for instance. Perspective to your question. Kind of like free cheese, when they used to give out free cheese back in the day. Now, cheese is free.
Don't melt neither.
Yeah, the cheese is free. But at the same time, you know, it wasn't the healthiest thing for us, and it didn't serve us, you know, on a healthier, from a healthier perspective. It didn't serve us, but it was something free that was given to us freely. Religion is given to the black community freely. Churches are built and all this jazz freely because technically it doesn't serve us the way it should. But they allow us, because we're the most spiritual, to do this. But at the same time, take for instance all those churches, everybody reading out of a Bible, right?
Yeah.
All those Bibles start with, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth, right? But why do you need 3 or 4 churches when you're all reading from the same book?
Right.
So it's divide, conquer, hustle, getting money, and everything else. And it's going to be in the poorest areas, because when all else fails, we're going to turn to God. But we're not turning to God that we should be dealing with. We're turning to a God that's not serving us. When people say, well, I prayed to Jesus. You know, I went to church. I paid my tithes. I got blessings. I've seen results. That's because the spiritual interface to the other side, the only thing you attribute to that is Christianity or God or the devil. So from that perspective, it seems like that has worked for you, when really you don't have to believe in none of that, and you can still interface with the spirit world and still get results. It has nothing to do with a particular faith. But I would say this: you would get an even bigger and better result if you interface with your family that can recognize you from the other side, versus an energy that we've put so much into that does give back, because that's how energy works. But at the same time, we got to realize that we have to get back to connecting with our family on the other side, because that's where our power base is. I'm gonna say this: you remember in the movie Black Panther?
Yeah, I just watched that.
When T'Challa went through his whole ritual and he became king.
Yeah.
After he became king, he went through the ritual where he took the herb and he was buried in a shallow grave and covered with dirt.
Yeah.
He woke up in the spirit world, and they call it the land of the ancestors. He went there, spoke with his pops in real time. Pop, what's up? You know, you looking good, the whole 9. In real time. This is the type of relationship that we had with our family, whether we're in the physical world or in the spiritual world.
Right.
But they cut that. It was by design. They cut that and replaced it with something else, something inferior, something that gives you results but don't give you the maximum potential of what you should get out of that connection. Don't you know, we connect back with our family, we can change this whole thing quick, dealing with our oppressor on this side. That's why they give it to us freely, like free cheese.
Right.
And that was a very important part of the movie, because it was letting you know that you always have a connection. And we were never supposed to just, you know, go through the ceremony of our loved ones passing on and transition to the other side and then saying they're dead and then so forth and so on. Nothing dies. The universe wastes nothing. Consciousness is pure energy. It doesn't die. So our relationship should be as simple as being able to pick up a phone. That's just how simple it was back in ancient times, dealing with our ancestors on the other side.
Right.
But we don't do that anymore. So we need to call on Big Mama, you know, and our aunties and our brothers and, you know, people that were close to us.
I think the world has become more, you know, it's not up close and personal anymore like it used to be. I think that kind of hurt the family, as far as being, you know, we can quickly pick the phone up and go to FaceTime or Hangouts, whatever. And, you know, people come knocking on your door. It's like, who's that? It's like, you know, back in the day before we had cell phones and beepers, you know, people used to come to your house all the time and knock on the door, and you know, who is it? Now someone knocks on your door, it's like, oh man, you know, it's like, who's at my door? You know?
Yeah.
You know what? One thing I saw a few nights ago, come home late from work, and there's infomercials on. I don't know what the guy's name is, but he's he's a reverend or deacon, whatever, bishop, and people are on these commercials giving testimonials on how basically, if you pray. I just hit the lottery. I was praying for something, and bam, my bills. I got a check in the mail from the U.S. government for $3,000, and basically trying to sell. It's like trying to sell religion, man. That kind of bothered me. It was,
Cats is crooks, man. Straight up, I'm just gonna keep it 100. They crooks.
Yeah, man.
It's a sham. They charlatan. The whole nine.
Mm-hmm.
But you have people who are so unevolved spiritually. They invest in these types of things.
Yeah.
One thing about it, because people really need to get this concept how energy works. If you believe it enough, you're going to see some level of results.
Mm-hmm.
This is how the universe works.
I always say that.
You put enough energy, enough concentration, enough emotion, the universe will collapse on that idea and to rearrange things to suit whatever it is that you've offered up that you want.
Kind of what Kanye was alluding to, indirectly.
That's exactly what he was alluding to. We have the power now to create our own reality. For those who are aware. Some of us are still slumbering and sleeping, and that's fine. Let them sleep. It's not their time. Please understand that. And I have to tell this to people, we're not supposed to be, in mass singing Kumbaya and having this utopian type, this nation that everybody talks about and yada, yada, yada. Just get that out of your head. That's not how it works. We all came here with a blueprint and a mission as individuals. So you got your own mission while you're here. If everybody woke up and just got this shit at one time, you would take purpose out of life. What would be the purpose for being here? What would be the purpose for this broadcast? So you gotta understand that everything has this proper perspective. So we gotta use a little bit of logic to say, hey, if this shit was just, we figured it out tomorrow, you would take purpose out of this entire dimension. Pain and suffering has a place. Loss has a place. Joy has a place. Wealth has a place. There's a reason why these things exist within time and space. Like I said, the design of this dimension is perfect. You just have a bad relationship with it. You got to change your relationship to how this dimension works. But as far as religion is in its current state, Christianity, it's dying. It's dying, and it doesn't have its luster and its appeal and its pizzazz like it used to have. And it's on its way out because people are now waking up.
Yes.
Not because I said it, but the universe is now rearranging things for people to go ahead and wake up from their slumber. So we're moving away from these childlike stories of the white boy dying for your sins and, feeding the multitudes with 2 fish. And people don't understand. A lot of this stuff in the Bible is dealing with a whole different science that is not even told to the congregation. Let me share something with you. Jesus feeds the multitude with 2 fish, right?
Well, what's with this?
During the age of Pisces, which is what?
March.
What is the sign for Pisces?
Fish. Sorry, fish.
During the era or the age of Pisces, this is when religion or Christianity flourished the most. That's why they utilize the astrological symbol as the fish, because that was the age of Pisces. Had nothing to do with a man feeding the multitudes of people with 2 freaking fish. It just signified a particular age where something flourished. Multitudes of the people fed into this thing called Christianity. As we left the age of Pisces, we went into the age of Aquarius. In the Bible, the disciples asked Jesus, what will be the sign? What will be the sign? of your return, what we need to look for. When you enter into the city and you see a man bearing a pitcher of water, that will be the sign. What astrological sign is that? The water bearer. It's Aquarius.
That's my sign.
That's the sign of Aquarius. So he was basically saying the return of God-like consciousness to the planet will be during the age of Aquarius. So we just went into the age of Aquarius. The Piscean age is over. Christianity is over. That whole, ideology is dying. We're moving more into the age of information and enlightenment. This is what the age of Aquarius represents. So people think these stories are literal, but they don't understand the science behind it. So he simply was saying the return of God consciousness to the planet, that the original man and the original woman, would be during the age of Aquarius. The water bearer, the man bearing the pitcher of water. And your Christian in church is still thinking that some dude is coming back to save them. It's done. It's over.
Over and done with.
It's time to just kind of, But like I said, it's not for everyone at this time. But we are now waking up in mass to this new consciousness. So it's a good time to be in a body right now. So it's a very good time to be in a body right now.
I'm saying
to
that.
witness certain things. That's why I tell people, we go through a lot here, but when it's all said and done, we win at this thing. So I don't, you don't want to worry about, too much of what the what do I call it? The bad children, our bad children. We don't want to put too much energy into what our bad children are doing. Because as long as our attention is on them, then that's where our energy is flowing, and that's keeping them alive, and that's keeping the BS going, and that's giving validity to all this other crap they got going. So we have to pull our resources, and the main resources that we have to pull away is our energy. Okay. I'm talking about what the government is creating to do to us, and chemtrails and all this other stuff. There's nothing that they can do to us that ain't already been done, and we still here.
Right.
So we just really need to say, okay, boom, let's just turn the page, and keep it moving.
Right.
Yeah.
I've always said that, and I still say that we're strong people. We went through a lot of races lasted 1 minute. So we're strong people. We persevere. We make things work. We're very creative. We set lots of trends that get stolen from us. So
we set the tone. We set the tone for the entire planet.
Right.
Real talk.
Straight up.
For the entire planet, we set the tone.
Yep.
Anything major going on around this planet, we set the tone for.
Yep.
So we have to be here in order for this dimension to exist.
Right.
So shifting our bodies is what they do best. So when they have these catastrophes and thousands of people die, this, that, and the third, they're just shifting our bodies, because these people are not dying. They're just going to another realm. They just don't have a physical body, and they're waiting to either return or go to a higher plane, and that's all based on spirituality. But one of my points that I wanted to make on this broadcast was, when you have a family member who transitions over to the other side, this is a power source that is so great that if you tap into it, you really don't understand the level of power that you will be able to wield if you did that. So when we have a lot of our brothers and sisters who transition, yes, the pain, the sorrow, the hurt on how it all goes down, because we have to give our emotions their just due. But the bottom line is, when we have family that go to the other side, that is like help that you really don't understand. To have friends on the other side is a really, really big deal, especially dealing with some of the crap that we're dealing with now. We just don't tap into it.
Right.
It's like a resource just waiting for us to say, hey, you know, I need some help over here. You ever see the movie Amistad?
Not in its entirety, no.
There's a scene in the movie Amistad when the brother is praying to the ancestors, and white boy asked him what he was doing. He was like, you know, I'm praying to my ancestors. And he let the white boy know the fact that I'm calling upon them, they have to come. It was a profound statement, but the bottom line is, if we take the time to call on our family, they will oblige us. But we call them on Jesus. All by design. All by design.
All right. So we're gonna, you know, this was gonna be not a touchy subject, but you know, kinda, you know, I'll explain. What are ghosts, man? Let's go back. What are ghosts?
What are ghosts? Well, ghost is kind of, to me, a derogatory word trying to explain basically a disembodied soul. It's like a slang word, kinda. People really need to understand that a lot of the stuff that we've been programmed with through movies and how the European has interpreted this ghost phenomenon, we've accepted it as such, but behind closed doors, these people know how these forces work. They just don't want us to establish a relationship with these forces.
Why do you think that is?
It goes back to our power. Because if I can plug into my family on the other side and I got a problem with some folks on this side, then, hey, I got an army that you can't even see. How you defend against that?
Right.
Ask the Haitians in the Haitian Revolution. How you think they whipped ass? They tapped into family. That's what they did. They tapped into family, and that's something we need to do now. Tap back into family. So this whole ghost thing, they make it seem like ghosts only fuck with white people. They don't fuck with, you know, niggas, which is simply not true. It's just that we've been so miseducated and spooked out. We either don't talk about it because the shit does occur. You know, we have interaction that we classify as supernatural. It's just that black folks just don't talk about it. It's taboo to talk about. You know.
Well, why don't we openly talk about it compared to whites?
Because due to our conditioning and Christianity, that we feel like if we get into talking about things that are taboo, we are either inviting negative spirits or entertaining negative spirits, and something bad is going to happen to us. So we're technically spooked out to the point where we don't really talk about it, which we really need to get over that hump, because, you know, let's get it straight, you know. Entities on the other side just don't, you know, when you watch those shows where they have the white people and they like got all these fucking, you know, EMF detectors and all this equipment, and they're looking for ghosts.
The ghost hunters.
Yeah, ghost hunters. They hunt for shit.
Right.
They got all these devices and all this other shit. You know why? Because the best way for them to interface with that dimension is through machines. Negroes don't have to do that. We're biologically already interfaced. We are the most spiritual people on the planet. We just don't tell our story because it's taboo. We don't talk about it because it's taboo. And the only thing that we reference to our spiritual activities are either God or the devil. We don't never reference the fact that it just might be Big Mama trying to tell you, look, you need to put them cigarettes down. So that's why we don't openly talk about it, because our reference is negative. Our reference is going to be Jesus. Our reference is going to be some sort of demon or all this other crap. But I'm going to tell you something. All the information, the the most powerful information on the planet is hidden in the dark. So if you want answers to the greater mysteries of life, that's where you gotta go. You gotta stop being afraid of the dark. You gotta step back into the darkness, because that's where we came from. Light exists within darkness. Light is created.
So darkness is, they made it look like darkness is a bad thing. You don't want to go there.
Light was created to exist within the darkness. And when we use these terms, people's minds automatically go to black.
Right.
I can't see.
Right.
Aura. And they got to get around this thing that when you hear these terms, it's already programmed in our mind something negative. And when I say darkness, I'm not talking about, you know, the best thing your mind can conceptualize is just being in a room where it's just dark. You can't see. And that's not what I'm referencing.
Yeah, gotcha.
When I say darkness, I'm talking about the unknown, the hidden from your conscious mind. You have to go to a place that's unfamiliar to you, so it's classified as being dark, or the term occult.
Funny people say, "I'm casting to the darkness," or
exactly. Like Star Wars. Take Star Wars for instance.
Right.
You got the dark side, then you got the Jedi Knights who operated on the other side. To be technically honest with you, when you really understand the science, because Star Wars is all based on Kabbalah science, but when you look at the science of Star Wars, the dark side was the most powerful side. It's just that it was utilized in the wrong way. And they told you that throughout all these movies. The dark side is where you have to go to find yourself. That's just like when Luke Skywalker went into the cave when Yoda was training him, because Star Wars is all spiritual. When he was going into the cave, Yoda said, "Look, you're gonna have to go in there but you got to go in there by yourself." Luke said, "What am I going to find?" And the little green guy said, "Whatever you take with you, that's what you're gonna find. Whatever you take with you."
Right.
So Luke goes into the cave. He finds Darth Vader down there. So he gets terrified. He starts to back up as Darth Vader comes closer to him. He strikes him with the lightsaber and knocks half of his helmet off. After the smoke clears, he looks closely and he realizes it's his own face.
Right.
So what's the moral of the story? When you go back into yourself, the unseen, the hidden, the dark side of yourself, you're gonna find nobody but yourself. That's what you take with you. It ain't gonna be no Jesus there, ain't gonna be no devil there. It's going to be you. Just you. And this will help you to better understand how you can get back into your God mind. Because the most powerful thing that you really need to realize is the fact that all this stuff is occurring in your life right now, all due to what you have programmed in your subconscious mind, which is the dark side. It's not evil, it's just hidden. It's the hidden aspect of your mind. You have to go there and face whatever it is you got buried there. And that's what Luke had to do. He had to go into that cave and face himself. He didn't know he was going to face himself. He thought he was going to face Darth Vader. But his real fear was within himself. You got to peep game.
Right. Damn.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Wow. Definitely, man. Got man. So after talking for a while now, and it's, it's about being spiritual, spirit world, darkness, and finding yourself, and the world wastes nothing. What would be the benefit of the black community reestablishing like some kind of formal connection with the spirit world, man? What are the benefits of that?
Well, look at it like this. We got a lot of police brutality going on, right?
Yeah.
Wait, let me pause before I even get into that. I don't know about, you know, where you live, if this is going on, but here in Atlanta, and I'm pretty sure it's in other places too, you got a lot of young cats who are into a life of either gang or something illegal, street life. And 9 times out of 10, you'll see them, they have these beads around their neck. A whole lot of beads, different colors. And a lot of people don't really understand what these beads represent. And not to offend a traditional African religion, but to give it its props in its authentic way of life. But the fact that you have a lot of young people now who are getting into this African spiritual system, but they're utilizing this energy to protect them out here in these streets while they're either doing something negative or partaking into some sort of illegal activity. And they're utilizing this energy, the spiritual energy, to protect them, to keep them alive, keep them from getting shot, keep them going to jail, keep them from being encountered by police. Like, this is a real phenomenon going on. So you got to understand that I commend the fact that, and I submit to the fact that the universe is going to find a way for us to get back to our tradition by any means necessary. But also understand the fact that there's a lot of young folk out here who are utilizing a particular spiritual system to engage in illegal activity, and they're using it for protection, to protect themselves. And this is real, and it does work, but it also comes at a cost. And that's a benefit. So the question you asked, that's an actual benefit of getting back to your African spirituality, just from that perspective. From another perspective is, okay, take police brutality. We got a lot of stuff going on out here in these streets and in our communities. Now, could you imagine if we were plugged in back to our original interface, where we can actually get us some assistance from the other side to deal with some of the stuff that's going on in these communities? You have an army that these folks can't even see.
Just can't even see. I was gonna say that. Right.
What's fucking with that?
Nothing.
So you gotta look at the fact that we have, you know, a lot of family from, you know, millions of years, a lot of family who have transitioned over to the other side. And you have a lot of them who have incarnated back to the planet, who have returned back to the planet. But you have a lot of them who have transitioned to the other side, who can assist us in any scenario in the physical world. When I say any scenario, I literally mean any scenario. So it's a matter of, like the Amistad movie, I'm calling upon my family, my ancestors, so they must come. We don't call upon them, so why should they step in on our behalf? First time some shit go down, you calling on Jesus. Does the Jesus thing work? Yes, it does. Why? Because it's energy. But it's only going to work to a certain extent. You want major change, you need to call major family. And when I tell you, you know, your family would assist in any aspect of your life, if you ask, they would. But we got to get past this European concept of our family is dead, they're gone, and anybody you talk to from the other side, they're either negative or it's a demon camouflaging themselves, acting like your dead family member. That's all BS, because they don't want you to deal with your family on the other side. So they put all this gatekeeper stuff in front of you through these movies and books and all this other crap, so you would never ever go back into your original way of life. Because if you accept the fact that these Europeans are telling you that your family is evil and you're talking to demons and all this other shit, if you accept that, then you also have to accept the fact that in ancient times, when we were running this shit, the entire planet, then we had it fucked up then. because that's exactly what worked for us. You know, we fell from grace when we stopped doing what we were supposed to do.
Which was
dealing with our family, having a better perspective of how life and death was one and the same. Death didn't exist in ancient times. We've been given a concept of what death is from Europeans, but death didn't exist in ancient time. It simply was a way of life where you have a transition from physicality back to a more etheric or energized state of being. And you still communicated with your family. That's where we came from. We came from the spirit realm to take on bodies, to be here. So when you leave the physical world, you're simply going back home. It's simple. What's complex about that? But we're being forced now to, you know, a lot of people have different visions and dreams and a lot of different experiences that they don't have answers for now, but they are occurring. And it's time to talk. You know what I'm saying? All the way down to people, you know, astral traveling and using their astral bodies and, you know, floating outside of their bodies and seeing their homes in real time and flying over the neighborhood. Like, this is real stuff that's going on that the Bible and all these Europeans, they're not going to tell you the truth about it.
no.
They'll actually make a movie to scare you from doing the shit. Because they don't want you to get help nor information from the other side. Could you imagine the information that we can get from a dimension without limitation? That you can bring back from there to here to enhance and enrich your life? Come on now. You gotta build a quantum computer to interface with other dimensions, but we can do it naturally. I don't know if you ever heard of the deep wave computer.
No, I haven't, but
You might want to look that up, but yeah, they built a quantum computer. It's called D-Wave. But this is how the European interfaces with spirituality. They got to build machines. We don't need no damn machines. We do it naturally, by birth. That's just the way it is. And the one thing you don't want Negroes doing is having a good relationship with the other side. You just don't.
ready to Gotcha.
You just don't, because now, you know, like I said, any type of scenario that arises when we have to deal with, you know, the oppressor, okay, I'm gonna show up. I'm gonna show up with my folks too, and they don't want that. And this is what the slave master had to deal with, you know, when they were dropping dead, when we were doing what we was doing, you know, in the heat of the night with our drums and our fires. Y'all gotta stop the niggas from playing them goddamn drums. And all that dancing and singing out there. Y'all gotta shut that shit down. Next thing you know, Master, he dead. They can't even explain the shit. All they know is some niggas was singing in the dark at night, playing some drums. So they don't want us to reconnect with that. So they gave us Jesus.
Yeah.
Somebody that don't even look like us.
Right. Bang your foot. Jesus.
Yeah.
Calling on him all day.
And keep in mind, you gotta master the degree of Christianity. Don't throw it away and be like, fuck Christianity, fuck the Bible. That's not what I'm saying.
Right.
Master it and understand that there are different levels to that Bible that the common person sitting in church does not know.
Right.
Some of your preachers know, but like I said, the common person in church, they have no clue the depth of some of the hidden information. And going back to that word, occult, they hear that word, they get scared automatically, because Europeans told you that the term occult was some evil shit. Occult simply means hidden knowledge. So there's an occult aspect to the Bible, because the Bible has hidden knowledge to it that the preacher ain't gonna tell you. That's why when people are doing prayers and all this other stuff, when they're having problems in life, they go to the book of Psalms. Why the book of Psalms?
They start singing.
Because the book of Psalms is a book of actual rituals. That's exactly what it is. That if you do them correctly, you get results. They tell you read this chapter in Psalms and recite this and say this 100 times and do this and do that. Yeah, but they want to keep it shrouded in this whole Christianity thing, but they don't want to get into the ritualistic aspect of what it's really about. Oh, you got a problem? Let's pray over this olive oil and put a little bit on your head and, let you be blessed. Oh, so you just took some olive oil, did your ritual based in the context of Christianity, charged this olive oil up with what you call the Holy Spirit, and now you have it, and you're going to apply it to whomever and bless them and protect them, right? But if I do that, take my different oils and my essential oils, this, that, and the third, whatever it is that I need for my rituals, do the same exact thing, just don't use no Jesus, this, that, and the third, charge it up, and use it for the same thing. My shit's evil, but your shit ain't evil, but we did the same shit.
Right.
Make sense? All right. Keep it moving.
There you, brother. This is... Oh, man, that's... All right, my brother. Well, that's going to end it for this episode of Black Thought Radio.
Okay.
Want to thank Brother Ani for giving us a moment of his time as well. Stay tuned for the next episode coming to you in the near future. Brainwashed on Heavy Media, Wide Body Media presents Black Thought Radio. For Brother Ani, I'm DJ Wide Body. Like to say peace and love. And see y'all next time.
Peace.